Drew Peterson, Untouchable, is a docudrama about the real-life police sergeant and convicted murderer Drew Peterson. We may have found perhaps the worst person to independently discover how to rob Lowe. Drew Peterson is someone with no natural charismatic gifts who has nevertheless put a spell on everyone around him, convincing them that deep underneath, he might be Rob Lowe. The problem is that what he ultimately produces isn't Rob Lowe at all. It's the minimum viable Rob Lowe. We first meet Drew Peterson in bed with his wife when their son unexpectedly walks in the room. Peterson, clearly aware that the audience will eventually need to see Rob Lowe's bare ass, chooses this exact moment to leap out of bed, leaving his own son staring directly at the ball's end of Rob Lowe at the 2-minute mark. The film then begins quietly presenting evidence that Drew's approach has actually been remarkably successful. People constantly choose to let him into their lives. For a while, it's genuinely difficult to argue with the results. Only gradually do you realize that Drew Peterson has put a spell on you as well. You think you're watching Rob Lowe doing a very strange voice, wearing makeup and a disguise and a fabulously odd character role. You aren't. That's the spell. Drew has correctly identified that a charismatic Rob Lowe will flirt with women, charm the men around them, project confidence, rock the Hawaiian shirt that quietly communicates that you're here to party. It's Rob Lowe reduced to a checklist, assembled by a disgusting man pretending to be Rob Lowe with remarkable accuracy. The proportions are roughly correct. The smile is in approximately the right place. He's attempting a deep stare that Tyra Banks might call a smize, if smize meant big creep energy. The trouble is that the minimum viable Rob Lowe is effective at first impressions, but it has almost no range beyond that because unlike Rob Lowe, Drew Peterson doesn't have another gear. Kathleen sees through this early in the film. After she throws Drew out of the house, she tries to warn Stacy that this isn't actually Rob Lowe she's fallen for, but Stacy is still experiencing the minimum viable Rob Lowe. Until the effect wears off, there isn't much Kathleen can do. The film cuts to Drew discovering Kathleen's body, and Rob Lowe suddenly finds himself attempting perhaps the most ambitious performance of his career. Not grieving husband, a man desperately trying to remember what Rob Lowe would probably look like if he just found a dead body. Drew does what he's always done. He tries to Rob Lowe. He softens his voice. He lowers his eyes. He looks vaguely Rob Lowe. And somehow, people buy it. For now. Stacy, meanwhile, presents Peterson with a problem he simply wasn't built to handle. She is intelligent, calm, effortlessly likable, and could happily have the attention of any man she wanted. It slowly dawns on Drew that he's dating someone who inherently knows how to rob Lowe. That's deeply unsettling because she's no longer playing by his rules. You can't dazzle somebody who's already charismatic. And perhaps most alarmingly for Drew Peterson, you can't charm your way back into the good books with someone who is genuinely beginning to despise you. Suddenly he's checking her phone in front of her, reading her emails, watching where she goes, who she's talking to. The performance has completely collapsed, and underneath it, Drew Peterson is still exactly who he was at the beginning of the film. Jealous, insecure, and controlling. And when Stacy refuses to play along, physical violence. Having successfully persuaded Stacy to like him, Drew immediately runs out of personality. Take their relationship at the very beginning. Drew's big move is to buy her a car so he can stand on the sidelines watching what he assumes an excited woman looks like. Rob Lowe creates excitement simply by being there. Drew Peterson has to purchase it, which is why when Stacy tells Drew she's ending it, he seems genuinely confused. In his mind, this isn't how the story is supposed to go. People don't walk out on Rob Lowe, but this isn't Rob Lowe. The spell is broken. For the first time, Stacy can see it. Maybe this isn't Rob Lowe under film makeup. What if it's a monster doing a tribute act? Tragically, this is the last time anyone sees Stacy alive. The film now moves from a drama into a psychological thriller, complete with shocking jump scares ranging from Drew standing outside your home to the sudden appearances of Matt Lauer. Research finding: the minimum viable Rob Lowe only has an opening act. Throughout all of this, we keep cutting back to Drew's television interviews. At one point, he tries to change his media image by going on an awful radio show with a bloviating, insensitive, crass, and belligerent host, something he's likely learned from watching Rob Lowe appear on Fox News so many times. Rob Lowe gets cameras pointed at him because people are fascinated by Rob Lowe. Drew Peterson gets cameras pointed at him because people think he murdered his wife. To Drew Peterson, however, those are close enough to be interchangeable. People start talking. The priest suddenly decides it's worth mentioning that Stacy came to him terrified, saying Drew had confessed to killing Kathleen, basically, and that she would probably be next. This is all apparently just enough murder for the prospective fifth wife, who promptly leaves. She says she doesn't know how Drew does it, how he casts this spell over people. We know, Chloe. We know. Meanwhile, Drew's brother admits he may have helped dispose of a body, and one by one, the people around Drew stop responding to the performance and start responding to the evidence. Then something else quietly dawns on you. Almost everyone around Drew has a natural little bit of Rob Lowe. The state investigator, the reporter, even the concerned neighbor somehow manages to seem more authentic just standing on the driveway, looking worried. Hell, I think even this boom operator has more natural Rob Lowe than Drew Peterson at this point. Research finding: Rob Lowe isn't rare. Most decent people naturally know how to make others feel heard, comfortable, and safe. That's when you begin to watch Rob Lowe slowly leave Drew Peterson's body. The charm becomes rehearsed. The confidence becomes desperation. The minimum viable Rob Lowe has finally reached the limits of what it was ever capable of doing. Because charisma can get you through the front door. It cannot get you through a murder trial. Drew Peterson was eventually convicted of murdering his third wife, Kathleen. At the end of the film, Peterson prepares to spend the rest of his life behind bars. And after 2 hours trapped inside Drew Peterson, Rob Lowe has finally served his sentence and may be released. There are more Rob Lowe films to go, and no matter what we discover, our investigation continues.